Hello everyone and welcome back to Fly From Home. It's Catman back again with another Microsoft Flight Simulator product video, and today we're going to be flying this beautiful 787 from United... No, I'm just kidding. You know that you know me far better than I try to fly an airliner on this channel, because you know that I suck at that, although I do suck at most things, but especially flying airliners. No, what this beautiful 787 is from Just Flight's latest Microsoft Flight Simulator add-on product, which is called FS Traffic, and it is a AI traffic add-on that replaces all of the weird default Microsoft Flight Simulator basic models with these lovely, shiny, livery accurate representations of the world's most popular jet and turboprop airliners. And we've got a little baby 787 over here. Now you may have recognized it, those of you who are extremely sharp-eyed or extremely devoid of a life, but this is I'm just joking. This is actually Heathrow Airport, which is the busiest airport in the UK, and indeed I believe it's the busiest airport in Europe. Go and berate me in the comments if that's not true. But as you can see, there is a huge variety of traffic, most of them 787s and 777s, because that's just how it be these days. But there's also a few other types knocking around here. We've got A320s, we've got an Embraer 195, I think. A321s, a 777, Irish thing, A321. Big fat whale with wings. Apologies to any fans of the A380, of which I am not one. But look at this, look. This is an AI model. Look at the reflections on that thing. This would be a player-controlled aeroplane not that long ago. Back in my P3D days, if someone had rocked up with this and said, "Hey, look, it's a new study-level A380," I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, this looks about right." Oh, something's firing up. So yes, so as you can hear now, these aren't just static models. They are fully operational. They have animations, and they even follow pre-prescribed routings and flight plans based on real-world schedules. So the way this works is that there's a little third-party program that opens outside of Flight Sim, and you can program flights plans into it. Now it already comes filled with all sorts of different flight plans as default, so don't think you have to set these up manually. You don't, but you can add to them as required. So if there's anything that you particularly want to see represented that isn't in the default setup, you can do that using the little add-on, well, little third-party program that comes with it, and it will set up flights and traffic based on the time of day in the simulator. So if you've set the time as midday, then it will load the appropriate flights and routes for midday at whatever airport you're starting off from. And as you may notice, I've got all these airplanes loaded up here. This is a 100% traffic density, so this is, I mean, you can set it to 200% if you're absolutely insane, but this is as much as you would ever really want it at one of the busiest airports in Europe, and the frames are really good. Now I believe the way it does this is that there's a little widget module that goes in your toolbar up here, and you pop in your destination airport ICAO code. So today we're going to be, spoiler alert, flying to Edinburgh, Echo Golf Papa Hotel. Hit the confirm button, choose your traffic density, and you can get rid of that then. And it just loads in traffic which is going to be relevant along your route, and all the other things that might be knocking around, they only exist when they are going to get close to your aeroplane. So they managed to Just Flight have managed to preserve the frame rates while giving you all these lovely, immersive, high-quality aircraft models. I say as I get a slowdown there, but that's mostly just the scenery popping in. Obviously, it's pretty dense scenery here. I also have the Microsoft Flight Simulator updated or upgraded Heathrow It's not a third-party add-on. This is the one that just comes with the premium edition, or whatever you call it, edition of the game. So it's slightly more in-depth than normal default scenery. Now, I do have some add-on scenery for Edinburgh, and we'll see how we do on frames when we get up there. But I mean, given that this is pretty much the biggest stress test you could probably do, I'm quite impressed. I'm very impressed, in fact. You can see that the aeroplanes all use jet bridges and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure whether they use air stairs. I suppose that's something we can find out once we get to Edinburgh, if anyone's got an air stair hooked up. So apparently there are 40 different aircraft models included in this, and 700 different paint schemes for them. So that's pretty damn impressive. So you will more than likely see all of the most common airlines and airliners represented. Now, there is a list of what aircraft are included in this. I will pop it on screen as we're speaking now. Oh, weather change, baby. So most of you will probably be pretty satisfied with this, because it does include all of the most popular things that you're likely to see at European and American airports. However, there are some notable exceptions. The 76 and 75 series of airplanes are not represented at all. So 767, 757s, two of my most favourite airplanes in the whole wide world, are not included in this particular add-on. Now, they aren't particularly popular these days. I'll get my words straight eventually. So it's probably not a huge loss, but if you were to fly to, for example, a DHL major hub in Germany or East Midlands in the UK, you would more than likely see quite a few 76s and 75s knocking around. And sadly, you won't with FS traffic. Not just yet, anyway. However, if you are prepared to put a little bit of work in and add it yourself, you are able to add any third-party made aircraft, AI aircraft add-ons. So I am aware of quite a few free add-ons knocking around. I've tried them myself. So you can take any of the models used by those and add them to FS traffic and populate them in a flight plan, and then you will see them in the game without any further input from yourself. So there are some reasonably notable aircraft missing from the add-on as it comes, but you can add them in yourself if it really bothers you that much. And I don't know. I don't know. It's not bothering me that much at the moment. If I was doing a flight out of East Midlands, it might bother me a bit not seeing DHL 75s and 76s knocking around. But for the most part, very nice selection of airplanes. Now, you may have noticed there's quite a lot of those 40 different airplanes are made up of A320 different engine variants, which I suppose I guess it was kind of low-hanging fruit, wasn't it? I mean, they can get two aircraft types with not a great deal of remodeling work. So realistically, there's probably about 30 distinct different aircraft types. And let's face it, all the A320s and all the 737s are just the same thing in different lengths of fuselage. Probably insulted just about every fan of airliners on the internet at this point. Should we go for a clean sweep? Should I start slagging off Concorde? Now, one thing I have noticed as we are getting closer to this 777 lining up on, I have no idea what Runway that is. 9 right, 27 right. Is that the sounds are great, but they're very loud. Let's see if we can follow this guy. Look at that. See the lights. Strobe lights, you can see his flaps are deployed. And he's going to out-accelerate my drone camera quite rapidly. Very cool, but watch your eardrums would be my recommendation. And as you can see, I don't know how they've done this, but they've got the traffic setup at Heathrow to accurately represent how Heathrow traffic works in real life. So, for those of you who don't know, at Heathrow there are parallel runways, one on each side of the airport. And one is used for departures, one is used for arrivals. And you can see a big stack of arriving traffic over in that direction. And we can see our aircraft departing off in that direction. So they've actually got it set up properly. I have no idea if that's something that comes with Microsoft Flight Simulator or if it's a FS Traffic upgrade. But either way, brilliant, very impressed. Okay, so something else we're getting today. You're getting a 2 for the price of 1 video today. So it's going to be also a look at the new Avionics update for Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is going to include this beautiful Citation Longitude here. It's a number of aircraft have had a significant update to their avionics and accuracy and flight models and all sorts of different things. This thing, the little CJ4, the TBM, the iWin aeroplane, all of the default aircraft that use the Garmin systems have all been massively updated. So, really, the hell is that? Okay. Just got buzzed by an X-15 with a piston engine. Okay. So yeah, we're going to have having a look at the Citation Longitude, and seeing how this thing stacks up now as a much more accurate representation of the real aero. I'm going to regret having multiplayer aeroplanes turned on, aren't I? Because I'm going to get buzzed by these things constantly. Look at this. Look at this guy. Absolute lunatic. Yeah, well done, bro. Real smooth. So, without further ado, let's crack on. Now, the first thing is, all of these systems have been greatly updated. However, the checklist hasn't. So the checklist is still really, really basic. You've got cockpit cabin inspection and starting engines using APU. That's it. Therefore, I have had to resort to a checklist, what I googled off the internet, that I have on my iPad. So unfortunately, you're not going to get any checklist action on the screen. Quick note about our route. So as I said, we're going to Edinburgh. I've got it up on the Navigraph app here in game. So all I did is load this into the simulator. So I created a new flight, put Heathrow to Edinburgh, and made it auto route us via IFR high altitude airways. That's literally all I did. It picked the route out for me via all the waypoints, via the airways. The only thing I did is I selected a departure to umlat from runway 27 right at Heathrow, which I believe is the active runway in the simulator as we speak, but I may be wrong, we'll see. So, without further ado, let's crack on and starting this thing up, shall we? So, cockpit preparation checklist, circuit breakers are all in, yeah, they don't work. Standby power switch test / on. So, standby power is test, yeah, the green's there, and on. So that brings up our integrated standby instrument, or ISI, up there. Battery buttons both on and check faults. So we pop both of these on here. Wait for the G1000s to fire up. And it says check faults. And there we go. We've got 26 volts in each. And the ammeters are showing a discharge, obviously, because the aircraft's running on battery. Crew alerting system test. I have no idea how to do that. Maybe that's a function that you can do on here somewhere, not sure. But yeah, in the interest of expedience, I'm not going to worry too much about all of the crew alerting tests and fire tests and all the rest of it. Oxygen hydraulics data. Now we can do this. So we've now got an aircraft systems page on here. So we can go to synoptics, we can go to electrical, check the electric system, battery status, hydraulic status, make sure we've got sufficient fluid in the hydraulic tanks, fuel situation, we've got half tanks on here. We can even have a look at the bleed air system, which I'm presuming is going to have something to do with the oxygen, maybe crew oxygen, maybe not. Anti-air flight controls, electrical, hydraulics, I guess maybe not. Maybe that's on a different page that I'm missing. I can't actually see. Cabin altitude, landing elevation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. It's probably on there somewhere. But all of this stuff is new and very fancy, and I don't really understand most of it. So it's worth having a good play around with this and finding all the different pages out. APU start, so I do know how to do this. Now let's go to controls, exterior lights, make sure our navigation lights are on, which they are, and then we can go to start on the APU. And we can see down here the APU data, it's just running up. It looks like 27 right's currently in use for landing. Funny story, this is a different day to when I filmed the quick sort of spin around the airport. I did do the whole flight the other day after I filmed that bit, but my recording software messed up and it did it all in a really funny aspect ratio and really low quality, and I couldn't fix it using editing software. So this is attempt number 2. So it's no longer 27 right in use, it's actually 27 left. But it's amazing to see that the AI actually switches runways for departure. So very, very impressive. Not sure what this 777's doing. Or maybe it's just using the same runway, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm giving it too much credit. But it does... there's traffic coming in from over there. It does certainly look like, unless this is another player-controlled aeroplane. No, it's an FS traffic aeroplane. We'll see what text-to-speech ATC gives us. So APU is running, external power is currently disconnected, cockpit controls checked and set. I'm not sure what it means by this. Maybe it's cabin temperature controls. Let's have a look back at this. Cabin, no. Back, temperature. So we got a steady 21 degrees set in cockpit and cabin, and the recirc fans is currently set to low. That's fine. Trims checked and set. So the trim is there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind the stab trim back into the green gauge there. Takeoff. Rudder trim's in the middle, aileron trim's in the middle. Fuel quantity and CG check. So fuel quantity we've already had a look at. We've got half tanks, which is going to be more than enough for our flight today. And the CG of the airplane we can have a look at with the default here. And yeah, okay, we're in limits. It should be fine. Autopilots engage, disengage. Oh, okay, sure thing. Engage, autopilot. Disengage, autopilot. Thanks for that. There we go. Okay, so I suppose while we're running on APU, before we start the engines up properly, we should set up the route that we're going to use. So let's go to flight plan, add origin, EGLL, enter. Select runway, so let's go 27 right. May not be, but we can change it. And click on there, departure. And we're going for let's double check. Unlike 1 Foxtrot. So there we go. And you can preview it. You can have a look at it on the screen to make sure it's the right one. But we'll load that in there. Obviously, normally we'd go through the waypoints to make sure it is the correct one, but we don't want to be here all day. Add en route waypoint. So we're going from Umlauts. Let's have a look. Umlauts via Tango 418 all the way to Welling. So click on there, load airway. There we go. Auto selected Tango 418 because presumably that's the only one from that waypoint. To Welling, we load the airway. Then from Welling, we're going Tango 420, blaze it, to Trent. So from Welling, load airway, Tango 420, and we're looking for Trent, there we go, load airway, where we're going from there. We're going from Trent via Upper November 5-7 to Pole. Pole Hill. Load airway. And from Pole, we're going Upper November 601 to Inpip. So the waypoints, by the way, are arranged in terms of north to south, I believe. So if you're going up the list, you're going further north. I think that's how it's arranged. Correct me if I'm wrong. Load airway. Inpip, we're going direct from Inpip. And destination, obviously, EGP. Dumb H. There we go, Edinburgh. Insert. So that's that. So if we go with VNav, we should be able to... Maybe it's in here, back. Okay, I'm giving up. I'm sure there's some way to put a flight plan altitude in there. I've been able to put in flight level 380, which is our desired cruising altitude, as an altitude constraint in the flight plan, but obviously that doesn't populate it all the way down the list. I don't know if the VNav is going to work properly, but we'll see. All the different things that you can do, by the way, this is all new, is you can set up a VNav profile, so you can tell it to use the maximum rate of climb, or we can do a cruise climb, that sort of speed. It will put speed constraints in, so the below 10,000 feet, 250 knots constraint in there. It will even automatically load the terminal area speed limit around Heathrow, which is 200 knots within 4 nautical miles of the airfield. Your cruise schedule, so you can change this, you can slow it down or speed it up if you want, and also the descent. So this is, so we can go for that, for example, with the altitude, speed limits, and all the rest of it. So really clever, and a huge improvement over the default. So fantastic to see all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm an idiot, so I don't know really how to use this stuff, but if somebody knows in the comments how to set your flight plan altitude, I would be greatly appreciative of that. I'm going to set this to 2,000 for now. It's all automatic, by the way, on the transponder. Very, very clever. Right, so the route is in, but we've still got a few other things to do, because we have performance data now. So if we go to perf, we can actually put takeoff data in here. Now, what we're going to need to do first, though, is set the weight of the aeroplane. So, I don't know if this has remembered it from last time. We've got 2 pilots at 77 kilos each. I don't know if I can... Hang on 1 second. It would be handy if... Ah, there we go. I can change the units to kilos there. So, what this is going to enable me to do is 154 kilos. So, yeah, that's about right for that. We've got how many passengers? 2 passengers at 77 kilos each, yeah, and no cargo. Fuel on board. Okay, I thought I might be able to... Fuel, oh, there we go. Fuel on board sink. There we go. And landing. So, estimated landing fuel. No idea with this. This, I suppose you can put your fuel reserves in here. I'm not really sure. I haven't sim briefed this or anything, so I don't really know how much fuel this thing is going to burn. Holding time 45 minutes is correct. That's the legal minimum for final reserve fuel. So I'll leave that. I'll say, I don't know, 100 kilos of reserve. Who knows? Pop that in there. It's all good. Right, other stuff you can do on here. Can you set the Oh, look at that. You can check the status of your GPS system on the aircraft. So presumably there are multiple redundant different GPS systems. GPS 1, 2, and all the rest of it set to GPS 1 at the moment. You can see you've got 3D navigation on the GPS solution. So that means it's got a sufficient accuracy to provide 3D guidance. That's up and down and left and right. And you've got SBAS, which is satellite-based augmentation system. So this basically increases the accuracy of the data and also the self-diagnostic system that has to be built into aircraft GPS to enable it to work out if something's wrong both with itself and also with the satellites that it's receiving data from. So that's all handy if we were going to do an RNAV approach. Obviously our flight plan is all based on RNAV, it's all RMP stuff, so it's good to know that all of that stuff is working as it should do. We've got a stopwatch, waiting for fuel, okay, cool. So we should be able to go into perf now, go to takeoff data. It's got our takeoff weight in there. It's already put 27 right in. We can load the meterometer. Ah, look at that, brilliant. Can load the rectified air temperature in there. We can even show the meter. Look at that, brilliant stuff. So that's all loaded in for us. The takeoff run available is all loaded in for us because it knows how long the runway at Heathrow 27 right is. We're going to go takeoff flaps on. Anti-ice we're not going to need. Thrust reversers obviously is going to be stowed. Takeoff factor 1.0, so you can change your commercial factors. So I believe it's that. It's not really a rolling takeoff. And okay, well, yeah, there we go. Cool. Change those defaults if you want to. Takeoff data. So then we've got all of this stuff all lined up for us, and we can just hit accept takeoff speed, and it will throw it over onto our PFD, which is handy. I'm just going to bug V2 on the manual speed, or can I do that? Oh no, maybe not. Maybe this is the climb speed that's defined by our VNAV profile, so I'll leave that for now. But maybe if you click there, you can do manual speed. So let's just bug V2 just for the sake of safety. 126. This may take some time. There we go, and we'll switch back to VNAV speed once we've got the departure out of the way. So that's takeoff data and that's flight plan, all checked, set and entered. Parking brake is set, wheel chocks are out, cabin doors closed, passenger briefing. So let's go up here and put that on, bong the cabin and put the seatbelt sign on. Seats, pedals and belts are all done. Seatbelts button is pressed. Crew alerting system check. Bus tie closed. Fuel pump on right. Brakes on. Engine shut down. Yeah. Okay, cool. No takeoff. Yeah, as you might imagine. Okay, let's go back here. Now on this side, we can have various different things for engine start. So what I think is probably useful is to have the engine page up. Is it going to do that? Okay. Engine hours. Oh, look, it actually tells you how long you've been running the engines for. Oh, it's handy. Okay, let's go to here and what should we have on this side? Electrics, maybe? Hydraulics? I suppose we've got our engine data over this side, so we don't need to go too crazy. Flight controls we'll leave on that side, I guess. Recog lights on. Okay. Put those on. Clear behind. Yes, we are clear behind. It's very loud out there, isn't it? Still don't really know. Oh, I tell you what. Let's pick up our clearance because there may be a change in runway. So let's go to here. Heathrow clearance.
Heathrow clearance delivery, fly home 01 IFR to Edinburgh, ready to copy.
Fly home 01 is cleared to Edinburgh Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 27 right climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure frequency is 118.475 squawk 0225.
Fly home 01 cleared to Edinburgh Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 27 right climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure on 118.475 squawk 0225.
Fly home 01, readback correct. Contact ground on 121.908. Good day.
Okay, so it is a
Clearance delivery
27
Alpha
right
India
departure.
Romeo, Romeo, Alpha November Sierra,
And
ready to
now
copy IFR clearance to De Gaulle.
we hear
Alpha India Romeo,
the
Foxtrot
struggle
Romeo,
of
Alpha
text-to-speech
November Sierra
ATC
is
to try to
cleared
keep
De
up
Gaulle
with
Airport as filed.
that. I'm
Takeoff
gonna
runway 27 right climb and maintain 13,000 feet. Departure frequency is 125.
I'm gonna turn those guys down a bit, otherwise it's gonna get a little annoying. Turn that off. Right, let's go back to my my checklist. Let's put the beacon lights on. So that's anti-coal there. Throttles both set to idle, which they are. Thank you so very much for that information, sir. Right engine run stop to run. So that's this button here. Close the switch guard. And right engine. You can hear that the packs have gone off now. There we go. And then we monitor the start. So the engines on this aircraft are full FADEC control. They're all Airbusy, I guess, for want of a better word. So there's no need to introduce fuel or anything like that. It all controls the process itself.
Clearance delivery Sierra Papa Echo Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo Delta IFR to Mykonos ready to copy. Alpha India Romeo Foxtrot Romeo Alpha November Sierra pushback request accepted.
Okay, that's a good start on the right. Got oil pressure, we got ITT in the green, N2's good. Okay, so then we'll do the same process with the other engine. Open the switch guard to run, hit the starter.
Takeoff runway 27 right climb and maintain 11,000 feet. Departure on 118.475 squawk 76.
Okay, that's a good start on both.
Roger, India, Sierra
Left and
Hotel.
right gens are reset and on.
India Romeo Delta readback correct. Contact ground on 121.908.
That's done.
Good day.
Bus tie open, which it is.
Romeo Alpha November Sierra requesting the end of
And APU gen
Alpha
off.
India Romeo Echo Delta
APU gen
Bravo,
off.
India Romeo Delta requesting pushback.
Flight controls for incorrect, so
Sierra Papa
got the
Echo
page
Echo
up.
Delta Bravo, India Romeo
So
Delta
full
pushback
right,
request accepted.
full left, full forward,
Ground Alpha
full
India
aft,
Romeo Foxtrot Romeo
full left
Alpha
pedal,
November Sierra with India
full
ready
right
to
pedal,
copy
sorry,
IFR.
full left pedal. That's flight controls are checked.
Alpha India Romeo Foxtrot Romeo Alpha November Sierra
APU can
taxi
come
to and
off
hold
now.
short runway 27 right using taxiway Romeo Bravo Lima Tree for Alpha Kilo
Speed
Bravo
brakes
Lima
check.
27 Alpha Mike Alpha Lima 2 Tree
To the
Lima
extend
22
position.
Alpha 2 cross runway 27 right Alpha 1. Contact
And
tower
retract.
118.
Flight instruments avionics, so let's just set the... Oh, live weather today?
27 right
Yeah.
climb and maintain 10,000 feet. Departure frequency is 119.7 tree, squawk 2445.
1025.
Taxi to and hold short runway 27 right using taxiway Romeo Bravo Lima Tree for Alpha Kilo Bravo Lima 27 Alpha Mike Alpha Lima 2 Tree Lima 22 Alpha 2 cross runway 27 right
1025.
Alpha 1 Alpha November Sierra.
Now, an annoying thing is here, I can't change the... As far as I can tell, I can't change the units on the ISI. Ice protection is required, which isn't required at all. Flaps set for takeoff. So let's go flaps 1. Speed brakes are retracted, trim set for takeoff, ice protection not required, V speeds are displayed, nav source we're going to set to FMAS. Speed knob is set manual, crew briefing complete, and we'll do that set. Weather radar is off, because it's pretty nice weather, so we'll leave it off for now. And lineup checks are the only ones left to go, so when we can get a word in edgeways, we shall request our taxi.
Heathrow ground, fly home 01 with India ready to taxi IFR.
Fly home 01 taxi 2 and hold short of runway 27 right using taxiway Lima Bravo, Lima 21 Alpha Alpha, Tree Alpha 2 cross runway 27 right Alpha 1. Contact tower on 118.705 when ready. Heathrow clearance delivery Sierra Papa Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo Delta IFR to Nice ready to copy. Heathrow ground.
God, these AI have no chill jumping in between people's radio comms. The height of rudeness.
Sierra Papa Echo Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo
2 hours later.
November Sierra
You
Alpha.
know what, screw it, we're going.
End of pushback. 2-1 did you hear my last transmission? Lima Uniform Foxtrot Tango Hotel Alpha November Sierra Alpha. Request to end pushback received. Sierra Papa Echo Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo Delta cleared to Kennedy Airport.
So the beauty of being on an end stand and being small is that you can self-position.
Squawk 167.908 when ready to taxi. Good day. Heathrow ground Sierra Papa Echo Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo Delta requesting pushback. Sierra Papa Echo Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo Delta pushback request accepted. Heathrow clearance delivery Sierra Papa Echo Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo Delta IFR to Los Angeles ready to copy. Heathrow ground Victor India Romeo Golf India November 2-1 requesting pushback. Sierra Papa Echo Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo Delta is cleared to Los Angeles Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 27 right climb and maintain 11,000 feet. Departure frequency is 118.475 squawk tree 242. Victor India Romeo Golf India November 2-1 pushback request accepted. Heathrow clearance delivery Sierra Papa Echo Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo Delta ready to copy IFR clearance to Faro. Taxi 2 and hold short runway 27 left via taxiway Lima 55 Alpha Yankee Bravo Lima 28 November 1 November 1 Bravo November Sierra Alpha. Sierra Papa Echo Echo Delta Bravo India Romeo Delta.
Taxiing, hold short runway 27 right using taxiway Lima 21 Lima 2 Tree Alpha 1 fly home.
Suck it. Beat you this time, biatch.
2-1 hold position caution other.
Heathrow Tower fly home 01 ready for IFR departure runway 27 right.
Fly home 01 hold short runway 27 right. Traffic is on the runway.
Hold short runway 27 right, fly home 01.
Go on, Nigel, get cracking. So it seems like text-to-speech ATC really cannot handle the volume of traffic at an airport like Heathrow, unfortunately. It also appears like they are trying to now land and take off on the same runway, whereas earlier it did seem that they had it sorted out, so it was all set up correctly.
India Romeo Delta contact London Center on 118.
Looks like a Q400.
Good day. .475 for India Romeo Delta.
Sure what airline that is, but looking good. Videro. Didn't even know they flew into Heathrow. Bang. There we go. Nice landing, bro. Typical Q400 approach.
turn next taxiway.
Come on, line up and wait us. Can't afford to be waiting for him to taxi off. Jeez. See, completely unrealistic. Everybody at Heathrow lands and immediately does a handbrake turn off the nearest taxiway. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Contact ground on 121.705. Fly home 01 QNH.
Let's go.
3.65, wind 27 tree at 6. Cleared for takeoff runway 27 right.
3065.
Cleared for takeoff runway 27 right, fly home 01.
121.705.
We may have completely the wrong QNH set on there. 1 second.
Heathrow Tower.
Thought those altimeter figures looked a bit weird. Okay, let's get some lights on. They really need to make this airplane a little bit more free rolling on the taxi, because okay, one last check. Flight controls are still clear. Runway heading agrees. Crew alerting system's empty. Let's get out of here.
India Bravo, Echo Romeo, India Alpha, line up and wait.
Power set. Toga pushed.
Heathrow Tower.
Speeds alive, times 2.
Miles east inbound ILS runway.
V1 rotates.
Speedbird 827 Heathrow Tower.
Positive climb.
QNH
Gear up.
0.65, wind 27 tree at 6. Cleared ILS runway 27 right approach. Fly home 01, contact London Center on 118.475. Good day.
118.475 for fly home 01.
Okay, let's go
Cleared
VNav
ILS runway 27
and
right
nav.
approach, Speedbird 827.
Take this as acceleration altitude. So we're now leaving London behind at quite some speed. Obviously, in the real world, I'll have to switch to standard pressure on the altimeter because transition level around Heathrow is about 6,000 feet, I believe. But given that Microsoft Flight Simulator is stuck in the world of the US system, flight levels start at 180, so transition altitude is 180, or 18,000 feet. So let's see if we can get our
London
desired
Center,
cruise
fly home
altitudes
01.
by asking for it.
Request flight level 280.
Fly home 01, climb and maintain flight level 260. Expect flight level 280.
Climb and maintain flight level 260. Expect flight level 280. Fly home 01.
So we're well past 10,000 feet now, so let's get the landing and taxi lights off. We can also pop the seatbelt lights off. So I've just gone onto the cabin pressure controls here. So it automatically selects the cabin altitude, but you can select it if you want though, which is really cool. It also pre-selects the landing field elevation of your destination airport, which is handy. One last job to do. So we're at 26,000 feet now, so is he going to give us our climb?
London Center fly home 01. Request flight level tree 80.
Fly home 01 climb and maintain flight level 260. Expect flight level 380.
Set standard on everything, because we are in RVSM airspace. Normally I leave the ISI on the QNH, but above, when you're climbing above 29,000 feet, I believe you're in what's called RVSM airspace, reduced vertical separation minimum. So all of your altimeters at those sorts of altitudes need to be set to the same thing.
Climb and maintain flight level tree 40, fly home 01.
Now, I don't know if I'm right in hitting flight level change every time I want to change altitudes. I'm not entirely sure how you do it in this airplane or how you're supposed to do it. Normally, obviously, I would go into IS mode and just add some power. I'm not used to flying with an auto throttle or anything fancy like that, so please let me know in the comments what I'm doing wrong, because I am trying to learn the correct way to operate this airplane. It obviously isn't quite a PMDG or a Phoenix or whatever you have, you know, out there, you expensive payware stuff, but it's now the level of fidelity that really you can start to use some real-world procedures on it and get that level of immersion. And it's nice to have a cool, shiny business jet in the sim to fly. It's something a little bit faster when you need to get somewhere a little bit quicker than in a GA aircraft. Obviously, normally my go-to is the Cessna 414, but we've seen a lot of the 414 on the channel lately, so I thought we'd go for something different. And for the most part, I'm really impressed by this update. This has really added an awful lot to this aeroplane. Now, obviously, there isn't a cloud in the sky, which is very uncharacteristic for the UK, but what we can do is have a look at the weather display. So what you can do is you can have this weather map on instead of the normal map. Hang on, let me get the... I'll work it out eventually, get the range sorted. So we can swap that for this one if there was any weather about, but also you can switch the display over to the weather radar, pop it on there, and have it scan for you. So if there was anything out there, it would pop up on there. So this is our actual physical weather radar, the device in the nose of the aeroplane, whereas the other one here connects weather, presumably is a data link based service, so it picks up data from ground stations and then paints it onto the moving map.
Climb and maintain flight level tree 80, fly home 01.
Okay, so that's our cruise altitude final climb. So we've got PFD settings. We've got some wind on it. Oh yeah, there we go. So winds are fairly light actually, only 17 knots ahead and 16 across. So we should have a pretty rapid ground speed. We're doing a TAS of 450 knots now, which is absolutely mental for someone who's more used to chugging around about 160, 170 these days. It's back on traffic. So we can spot any other airplanes that might be popping about. So presumably you can change the range on this. Ah yes, there you go. Manchester Centre. They still haven't fixed that. There's no such thing as Manchester Centre in real life. You go from Scottish control to London control, and vice versa when you're going northbound. In the UK FIR, apparently got something about 6,000 feet below us, just in our quarter over there. See if we can spot it. Not quite. It could be very tricky to spot aircraft when they're not high enough to be making contrails, but you probably saw in a couple of the shots as we were departing London, you can see the contrails of the other AI aircraft that are knocking around. So hopefully we'll spot a few of them. Coming up on Trent VOR, not far away there, so I may pop in. Where do you put your nav radios in? In here, I guess. So Trent is 1157. Don't ask me how I know that, I'm just sad. Tango November Tango, identifier. So what we can then do is pop in a bearing onto nav 1. So then we've got a backup, just in case we lose all of our fancy RMP stuff. We will still have raw data from the beacon to determine where we are, basically. And obviously we can just fly radials off that VOR to get ourselves to a safe position to work whatever problem it may be. Always good to keep your basic nav radios updated with frequencies as you're flying along. Now, I wonder if I scroll down here, click on Edinburgh, waypoint info, look at this. So, have a look at the weather. So, current MESAR is giving us 261 at 9 knots, visibility 10k or more, I guess that means 6 degrees, dew points 2, 10, 13 hectopascals. Handy, handy, looking good in Edinburgh. So with 261, it's likely to be runway 24 in use. So I guess we can hit the procedure button and go for an ILS 24 with a transition via Tala. So let's pull up some charts. And look at the airport here. There we go, approach. 24 ILS, let's pin it, check it. So, full approach lighting systems in force, RVR minimum of 550, and we've got a DA of 300. So, we can pop 300 in there. And we'll just load it. And it says here, not approved for GPS guidance. So because this is actually an ILS procedure, it's based on the aircraft's navigation radio. So it always puts this warning up on Garmin systems to tell you that actually you shouldn't be flying the approach on GPS. You should be using the actual ILS signal. Now you can see we're actually bouncing right on the edge of the barber's pole there, which is marginally concerning. Not uncommon though, especially for an aeroplane like this. So presumably you should be able to put your performance data in and it will select a cruise airspeed for you based on atmospheric conditions, which doesn't do this. But maybe that's just not implemented yet, or maybe I did something wrong, I don't know. But what we can do is go into the perf. Is it the perf? The flight plan. VNAV cruise, yeah, so we can, instead of a Mach decimal 84 cruise, we can do like a 310 Mach decimal noughts 83. So that'll slow us down a touch and save us from bouncing on the barber's bowl constantly. Now you can see it's actually tuned to 1089, which is the ILS frequency at Edinburgh. It's swapped it over automatically. Let's pop that back onto Trent for now. It does that when you load the approach. Past Trent, I suppose. I think 1124 is Pole Hill. Let's click on Pole Hill, waypoint info, 1121, there we go. So you can see just how convenient some of the functions on this Garmin system are. Really clever. Uncharacteristically nice weather over the west coast of the UK today. So down there is the UK's third largest city, I believe, Manchester. The coast just out there, so that's Liverpool on the Mersey. Okay, you can see all the way to the Humber on the other side there, which is quite impressive. Like I said, very uncharacteristic for the UK. I've just got a little bit of cloud over the Lake District here. Tell you what, this thing could use some cabin views. It'd be nice to be able to sit back in the cabin, put your feet up, watch the scenery go by. Ooh, traffic map. Ah, look, you can have a little inset here. That's handy. So then I suppose you can do away with the big one over there if you want that on weather radar or something else, which is cool. Okay, let's have a look at our landing performance, shall we? So yeah, destinations in there. Weather, gonna load the meter. Runway is already in. Landing config, looking good. No, we can't select max reverse. Interesting. Landing data, so it's got all the speeds there, ready to go. So just bash that on. I guess we've got our landing speeds. It's got a V approach of 128. It's almost too easy, this, isn't it? I do believe you have to operate this aircraft as a multi-pilot cockpit. It's a little bit too large to be operated single pilot, but it's so user-friendly you could almost fly this on your own, really. Which, of course, is what you're doing in Flight Simulator, unless you've got the advantage of a multi-pilot cockpit setup. Hopefully, we get that in Microsoft Flight Sim at some point. Oh, Christ. That's interesting. It's got bashed by a big bit of turbulence there. Oh, there's another aeroplane. See him on the TCAS just there. So, FS traffic works fantastic with inbuilt TCAS systems in the aeroplanes. And as you can see, they're knocking around in the world, all the AI aeroplanes, increasing the immersion level. So we've passed Pole Hill now. I suppose we can tune Tala. Though we may be a little bit far away to pick it up. Oh no. There we go. an inset on there. So you need traffic. Go. Put a map on the HSI. That's cool. That's usually how we have it set up in the DA42 on the G1000. You can put traffic on that. Oi, holy crap. Calm down. I'm not sure if this is the sim like reloading weather or if there's just random clear air turbulence up here. A bit worrying. Oh, cool. You can have the full synthetic vision terrain set up on there if you want. It's snazzy. Should be 833. So just put the top of drop altitude in as a constraint above Edinburgh, because I'm just trying to get it to show us the vertical profile here. So really we should be descending right now according to this. So maybe we should request descent. Let's get text-to-speech to bring us down.
Manchester Centre fly home 01. Request flight level 280.
Fly home 01 descend and maintain flight level 280.
Descend and maintain flight level 280. Fly home 01.
So I'm just descending in VS mode. I've just VS'd it to the target rate of descent there. So you can see in the VNAV profile page on here, it's automatically gone to descent schedule. Got an FMS speed of Mach 8 for the descent, and the active VNAV waypoint is Edinburgh at 3,000 feet, which is what I put in. So it's aiming for a 3-degree glide slope, which should give us near enough idle power descent, maybe not quite, but close. So there we go. Vertical speed required, you can see it's just over 2,700 feet, which seems very high for those of you who fly light aircraft, but it's a pressurized aeroplane, so you've got no risk of your eardrums exploding. Especially modern aeroplanes, the pressurization, cabin pressurization is very, very good. See our speed over the ground is still over 400 knots, so it's taken us no time at all to get up here to extremely uncharacteristically sunny Scotland. Now, given it's getting a little bit bumpy, I'm going to pop the seatbelt sign on and run the descent checklist. So landing field elevation has already been set, we already checked that. Altimeters at transition level we're going to set, yeah, and exterior lights below 10,000 feet. We'll put the landing lights on. So we're happy with that. That's the descent checklist complete. Next is the approach checklist. 1,000 to go. Let's get it to give us a further descent.
Manchester Center, fly home 01. Request flight level 180.
Fly home 01 descend and maintain flight level 180.
Descend and maintain flight level 180, fly home 01.
So I just hit flight level change this time, so we'll see how it differs. So it's just going for idle power descent. You can see it's going almost 6,000 feet a minute at the moment. Jeez. But presumably this, once it's caught up with the desired VNAV profile, it will just follow that. But we'll see. Okay, so we got our expected approach 24 via Tala.
Not above 210 knots. Expect ILS runway 24 approach via Tango Lima Alpha transition. Clear
So
to
let's
Tango Lima Alpha, fly
activate the
home 01.
approach. Should take us to Tala. So we do VNAV.
Fly home 01, contact Scottish Center on 119.875. Good day.
Okay, so that's actual Scottish. We're also coming down to 6,000
01.
feet now, so let's wind that off. Did it give us a QNH? No, of course it doesn't, because whatever. So let's just pick up whatever Edinburgh's is.
Scottish Center, fly home 01 is passing flight level 190, descending 6,000 feet. Fly home 01, Scottish Center, continue to Tango Lima Alpha as planned.
$10.13. Well, that's easy enough. So you can see now I've changed the vertical profile waypoint to Tala. It's actually coming down pretty slow. And now they did tell us to keep speed not above 210, I believe. Yeah, not above 210. So I guess what we can do is do flight plan, VNAV, descent, and change this to 210. Yeah. No idea what that's going to be in Mac. Maybe if we just leave it blank. Eh. $210 knots is really slow, by the way. Occasionally you do get slightly odd requests from ATC, slightly unreasonable requests from them, especially if they're not familiar with your aircraft type and they think, oh, I'm sure he can do that. So it's not completely out of the question that you'd get something like this if they had a lot of traffic going into Edinburgh and they were just trying to back you up to leave a gap for your approach. It's ultimately in your interest to try and achieve it, but it can be hard work, and obviously if it countermands the safety of the aeroplane, then you just say unable and tell them to get lost. At the end of the day, yes, absolutely, you must comply with instructions from ATC unless it puts the aircraft in any kind of dangerous situation. So this is actually below flat 1 speed. It's below flat 2 speed. It's a good job we're ahead of profile on the descent, isn't it?
Flyhome 01, please expedite your descent 6,000 feet.
What, 600 feet a minute, not enough for you? See how it's actually defaulted to 500 feet per minute as a minimum rate of descent, so in real life ATC would expect you to maintain at least a descent of 500 feet per minute when they give you that instruction. Sometimes they'll say something like descend when ready, so that leaves it up to you. You can leave it a little bit later, so you can do your perfect idle power descent all the way down to top of descent point for the approach. But other times they'll say, descend now, altitude whatever, which means you need to get on with it. So they expect you to maintain at least 500 feet per minute. If you're not maintaining that, then they may get a little annoyed.
Flyhome 01, please expedite your descent 6,000
However,
feet.
text-to-speech seems to want you to do it about 800 feet per minute or something, otherwise they stop bitching at you, which is a little annoying. I mean, you never know, you might have a passenger with delicate ears on board an unpressurized aeroplane. Okay, so they're saying the altimeter is 30.40. Interesting. Okay, I'm also going to make sure they're all set. They are. Okay, so ATIS, well, we've got the METAR for Edinburgh, so we'll assume that the ATIS is on. Well, let's do it properly, shall we? So the ATIS is 131355. Listen in.
Edinburgh Airport information, Quebec 1300 Zulu. Wind 229er at 19er. Visibility 6. Sky condition, few clouds at 2,700 feet, 4,900 feet scattered. Temperature 10. Dew point 10. QNH tree 0.37. ILS runway 24 in use. Landing and departing runway 24. DFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Quebec.
Okay. 3037. So what does that equate to in normal money? $10.28. Okay. So, okay, ATIS on board. Briefing. Let's do a quick briefing, shall we? So, It's plate 11-3 ILS Edinburgh runway 24, ATIS is on board, approach 1212, we got that on. 212, enter on the standby. Oh, 205.
Fly home 01, descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
21205, enter.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Fly
Down
home
to
01.
4,000s. Keep on there. Tower 118705 will tune in later on. 1089 India Tango Hotel should be tuned. It is on both nav radios. Final approach course 241 should be automatic, so we'll leave that to that. We've got a glide slope integrity check 4 miles at 1420. Decision altitude 300 is set. This approach is straight ahead to 3,000 feet. Then, as directed by ATC, com failure straight ahead to 3,000. Then the right turn back to the locator. Speaking of which, 341 should be on the ADF just in case we need it. 330 maybe. Yeah, 341. Transfer that, and dot dash dot dot dash dot for Eden. Okay, cool, that side entered. So 3-degree glide slopes, no notes.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet.
Down to 3,000.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet. Fly home 01.
Perfect visibility, so no approach ban in force. I'm presuming there are no questions from you guys. No questions? Oh, fantastic. Okay, so that's the briefing and checks. So let's do our approach checks now. So, landing data is all confirmed, ice protection not required, flight instruments and avionics are all set up and checked, crew briefing's complete, passenger briefing, shut up and sit down, pop that on, and zoom this in a bit, just about to make the base turn.
Contact Edinburgh Tower on 118.705 when inbound.
Okay.
Tower on 118.705, fly home 01.
Let's tune tower ready to go.
Edinburgh Tower, fly home 011, 3 miles east inbound ILS runway 24 approach.
Fly home 01 Edinburgh Tower. QNH tree 0 decimal tree 7 wind 2 tree 0 at 19er. Cleared ILS runway 24 approach.
Cleared ILS
Cleared as
runway
the
24
approach.
fly home 01.
So pop that on. In fact, no, because that's clear for approach, not clear to land. Speed brakes retracted. Ground spoilers, I'm assuming, are automatic. So we'll leave them as they are. Crew alerting systems clear. Autopilot is fine. Auto throttle is fine for now. And airspeed reduced to VREF, which is going to be 127. But speed below the flaps 1 speed, so let's go flaps 1 now. Arm the approach. Glides alive. Localizes alive. It's auto switched over to green needles, which is very helpful. Okay, let's go manual speed now. There we go. Start coming back to go for 160 initially, I think. Flaps 2. Glide capture, glide slope, go around is checked. We've got an integrity check at 4 miles to do. There's our DME, we're at 8 miles at the moment. Lovely weather, just a little bit of crosswind. About 10 knots from the right. So I guess that's my auto throttle disconnect when I need it. Okay, let's fully configure now. So, gear down,
Landing gear.
flaps full.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
And speed back to, let's go 132.
Fly home 01, wind 229er at 19er. Cleared to land runway 24.
Now we're cleared to land. Taxi light goes on.
Cleared to land runway 24, fly home 01.
Bit of a slowdown, coming up on 4 miles. It's 4 miles, about 100 foot high actually, weirdly enough. But we'll take that as a flight sim quirk. Auto throttle disengaged.
Autopilot.
Autopilot disengaged. Manual flight, let's go. Let's get rid of the flight director. Touch on the high side, let's try and get that back. A little slow. I've got some Edinburgh scenery loaded up, by the way. It's just the one from the Microsoft Store. So we'll see how that looks when we get on the ground. Looks nice on the pictures, at least. Wait, bit low. Correcting. There we go. Slightly right. Correcting. Coming up to minima. Visual. Getting a bit rough now. It's coming back to ref of 115. Now we'll take that, reverse. 60 knots reverse is stowed.
Fly home 01, exit runway when able.
Welcome to very sunny Edinburgh. Great thing about the
Fly home 01, turn next taxiway.
MFDs on these aeroplanes, they can double up as a taxi chart for you.
Fly home 01, contact ground on 121.908.
Going to 121.908, fly home 01.
Okay, flaps up, speed brakes are automatic, landing lights can go off, strobes are automatic, transponders are automatic, pitot heaters are automatic. Let's go back to parking.
Edinburgh ground, fly home 01, request taxi to parking.
Fly home 01, taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway Bravo, Alpha Mike Golf.
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway Bravo, Alpha Mike Golf, fly home 01.
Okay, so Bravo, Alpha, Mike, and then Golf. Yeah, Mike, Golf, over here. Happy days. See what cool aeroplanes FS Traffic has loaded up for us at Edinburgh. Two thumbs up for this scenery. It's really, really good. Lots of characteristic airplanes knocking around here. We've got a 7-8, is that? Looks like, yeah, with
Fly
the
home 01, hold position, caution, other traffic.
Gold.
Fly home 01, continue taxi.
Roger, fly home 01.
What's all that traffic? There's nothing. The Irish crowd seem to be reasonably well represented here, as well as the orange people. Pretty typical of what you see on a daily basis at Edinburgh. And then presumably we're going to be parking next to these other private jets over here. Or maybe not. That might be the North Apron. Oh no, North Apron's over there. I think that's the East Apron actually. Not mega familiar with Edinburgh. I need Jimbo here because he used to be based here. Appears to have found a marshaller. So presumably this one's for us. You wanna give me some instructions, or are you just gonna stand there? Okay, just stand there. That's fine. You take it easy, bro. Right. Parking brake is set. Let's start the APU. And do all our checks. So thrust reversers are sewed, flaps are up, ice protection's off, exterior lights are set, throttles are idle, parking brake is set, ice protection's all off. And then once we've got the APU up to speed, we just hit the run buttons on the engines and then we can shut down. Okay, APU's running. Engines off. Seatbelts button can come off. Crew lighting system's good. Main batteries, yeah. Standby power switch is on. Verified. APU is running, and APU gen comes on. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A flight in the brand new upgraded Citation Longitude, along with the fantastic new FS Traffic add-on. So let's have a little look around while we're here, actually. Go on the drone and have a little fly around Edinburgh and see what the traffic looks like here. So these, I think, are part of the scenery. So I don't think this is a type that was included in FS Traffic. In fact, we've got some fancy-looking vehicles, Teslas or something, parked up here. Yeah, with some sharp-suited businessmen ready to fly in their Challenger. Is it? Looks like Challenger or a Globex or something. That's a G6 and a Globex or Challenger something or other. Yeah, cool. That's actually great. That's brilliant. Look at that S-Class Mercedes. Beautiful. Got the regs on there. Sus. Yes. Very sus. So these guys are part of the scenery, but this is all FS Traffic stuff. So let's go have a little fly around and take a look at what's pulled out here. We got good old Sleazy Jets, Turkish Airlines, 737-800 or 900. I can't tell. It's a tube with wings. A320s all over the place. 738. Our Irish friends. I believe, is this FS Traffic or is this scenery? That might be scenery, actually. So it looks a little bit more ropey than the FS Traffic models. I have turned this as an FS Traffic. You can see how the reflections are a lot nicer on this than the other ones. So they were scenery aeroplanes. FS Traffic looks brilliant. This is definitely an FS Traffic. Beautiful looking aeroplane. 7, 8, 9, I guess? 10? 9. Yeah, it's got to be a 9. For Qatar. And then another 7, 8 United. 788, baby one. 321 for Lufthansa. And else around. Look at the purple disco lights on the base of the tower there. Perfect. Beautiful. And a couple more 73s. So yeah, FS Traffic populating Edinburgh with all the sorts of traffic that you might expect to see knocking around here. So really, for me, this has been a really great immersive little flight. Now, whether you think FS Traffic is worth the £26 or whatever it costs on the Just Flight website for essentially a bunch of AI aeroplanes that fly around in the simulator with you, is probably down to what kind of flying you usually do in Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you're the sort of person who does a lot of bush flying, a lot of GA stuff, you don't generally hang around large airports, do any high altitude airways flights or anything like that, then it's likely that this add-on's not really going to be worth it for you because you don't really see that much traffic. However, if you're the sort of person that likes to fly jets or turboprops or, I mean, the sort of GA aircraft that can get into the airways, bear in mind the 414 is pressurized, turbocharged. It flies, you know, at critical altitude 21,000 feet, if I remember rightly. So the 414 mixes it up with airliners and stuff all the time. So if you're the sort of person who wants something to really improve the immersion effect when you're doing those sorts of flights, then I think FS Traffic is absolutely fantastic. It's a really great add-on. It's certainly the quality of the models is certainly better than the free stuff that's out there. You can add the free models in yourself if you want. You can make your own flight plans. You can use all the models for vPilot, for flying on VATSIM, and it makes it really easy. It generates the file itself and all the rest of that kind of stuff. So really, really good in my opinion. I think it's a fantastic add-on and a great addition to the simulator, and I'm certainly happy that I've got it. In terms of the Citation Longitude, I'm very, very impressed with that too. It's a really nice improvement to the aeroplane. It's not just a basic set of wings and a set of engines now. It's really getting on to being something that you can do VATSIM flights in, and you can obviously enjoy yourself and mess around with the systems, do all the performance and all the rest of it. That said, it's not perfect. There are still bits and pieces here and there that stick out that are not quite right or aren't in there yet. But hopefully, I mean, you never know, somebody might get hold of this and Zebo mod it and do some kind of improvement mod and make it really, really high fidelity. I don't know if Working Title are considering doing that themselves, or if a third party might do it. But yeah, this is really good, and presumably the CJ4 and the TBM are just as good as this, because they are essentially part of the same update. So honestly, I think it's been a huge improvement to the simulator as a whole, and I'm really glad that Asobo and Microsoft are carrying on and working and bringing these improvements to the sim and making it better and better each update. But that's just my opinion, and of course, opinions are like bumholes. Everybody's got one. So please leave me a comment down below if you've got a different opinion. I'm always happy to hear anything that you might have to say. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please consider hitting the button and doing the thing and the bell and what have you, and joining us on the channel. We've got a Discord. You can pop over there and have a chat to us. We're always on there various times of the day. So if you've got any questions, aviation related, YouTube related, or whatever, you can always feel free to go on there and ask us. And we're going to be doing some kind of live stream for the 4,000 sub celebration. So if you've got any ideas of what you want us to do for the live stream, please pop them in the comments, tell us on Discord. There's also a vote up on our community page on YouTube, so pop a vote on there. And hopefully I will see you next time. Thanks, bye-bye.